about your story, okay? Because everybody has great ideas for stories. That isn't how you get your project off the ground.
Okay.
How you get it off the ground is by following the rules. The rules are very important.
Sure.
Your script will literally get tossed into the garbage if it's not formatted properly.
Right.
So there's a few formatting issues that you have. I think that what you have is a really great blueprint. It's a blueprint of your story. And the hardest thing to write is the first draft. Rewrites, I mean, like your project will have to go through a multitude of rewrites. You, as a writer, unless you are planning on directing this yourself, never, ever, ever, ever give production notes or directions. Sure. I saw a lot of production notes and reflect back to this is going to be used in a later scene. It will be tossed because if your script doesn't tell me what's going to happen, then I'm not going to read your notes.
Okay,
no one will.
Right.
Those notes are should have been conveyed in the script. So that's what's called lazy writing. And I'm not calling you lazy, but that's what in the industry what's called as lazy writing, when you're not taking the time to actually describe and write what is being seen. So action is probably one of the most crucial parts of your story, even more so than the story itself, because of what is different between a novel and a script is a novel you're telling people your story, a script you're showing people your story. So your dialogue is on the bottom part of the totem pole. Your action is the top. When you're rewriting this, I would start with the action first, and the action is you're not telling people what someone's doing, you're showing them what they're doing. So if I'm angry, you never say that someone is an emotion. You show them what that emotion looks like. You can't just give them the adjective. You have to show the adjective. So when you're doing your next redraft of this, go back and look at every adjective that you're using to describe someone's emotion and rewrite it as an actual, how do people show they're angry? What you're trying to do is give people a general sense of how they're showing their anger, right? Some people get nervous and smile. Everybody responds to anger, shows their anger in a different way. When you're trying to describe your characters, remember that. Not everybody shows anger in the same way. So, because we're all unique individuals. And it's really hard to get in that mindset. Action is one of the hardest things to write. Anybody can write dialogue. But how do you describe what people don't say?
Yeah.
And movies are all about what people don't say. To write. What you need to know in order to take you to the next page. That's not to say that action should be a series of crazy blurbs.
Right.
Your action needs to be written as eloquently as your dialogue. Stay away from are ones that are written by the people that directed them, because it's very easy to be a lazy writer when you know you're going to direct it, right? Because it's so clear in your head how it's going to look. You work on this so often that it's so clear to you how it's going to appear on the screen that you forget that it isn't to whoever is reading it. And so you think that a simple one line will suffice to describe a really tense situation, because in your mind you know how it looks, but I don't know what's in your mind. So you are literally writing this. So the only thing I could think of is if you write a song and it is an amazing song, the lyrics are amazing, they're great.
Yeah.
And then you give it to me. I can't sing, I can't play the piano, and I'm not a performer.
Right.
So is anybody going to pay attention to your lyrics? No. I will read a ton of scripts. The more scripts you read, the more you'll see that there's different ways to convey action. So well done. And then seriously, read this script a few times, and you'll see that they're very particular with their dialogue and what they leave out and what they don't say.
You're right.
And what they don't say, they say it in the action, but they say it in a very clever way. I've never even seen the movie, and I thought the script was amazing. It was almost like I didn't need to see the movie, because the way that he did, and that's the mark of a good script too, when it's it's so clear how it's written that I visually know what it would look like on the screen. So even if you just read a couple of pages of this, you'll see how enthralling it is. Because it's so clear how the dialogue is intertwined with the action. You need to care as much about your action as you do your story, as you do your dialogue. And just people watch. Look to see what people do, because you don't want to write every character the same. You don't want to write them like you, because your characters aren't you at all. This is not your life. This is anything. This has nothing to do with you. And it's hard to be that person that's, because everybody speaks differently.
Right.
And it's really important when you're writing your script to remember that people don't finish their sentences. People use slang. People use hand gestures to complete what they're saying, when you're writing your dialogue, you need to give each character its own way of speaking and not use formal English to study people.
Right.
I mean, I talk with my hands a lot, and you tilt your head and do this a lot. Act out your parts, and you'll see what you do to act them out. You have to set yourself up for success. When you're looking at your script, you have to fine tune all those things. You have to have a clear voice. It has to have a great voice. So your characters need to speak. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how good your story is. If it's not executed properly, it doesn't matter. No one will care. You will get thrown out. No one will give you a chance. You're writing your script. You need to keep it in mind, the budget that you're writing for. $1 million movie? Is this a $20 million movie?
Okay.
Is this a student project? Who's going to be in your movie? What level of actor is going to be in your movie? Who's your target audience?
Okay.
These are what people that are going to back your film, financially back your film, are going to want to know. What demographic does it appeal to? What's your projected budget for it? Where do you see this being filmed at? How many days is it going to take? And not that it's a writer's job to know those things, but if you want your script to be made, you have to be mindful of it.
Now that is exactly what I needed. By following her guidance, really set the stage for me to do self-discovery in, writing action and watching videos about it, or reading articles, or reading scripts for that matter, and taking all that material and really apply to my second draft of my New Born Awakening script. So what I find unique about this project is that it's not only is it explore the letters N.E.W, representing new and new experiences. This happens to be my first bilateral film project. You may have noticed when I first started this little series, it started in one room, and as I ended it, it ended in another room. Originally started in Seattle when I began the interview and began the process of exploring these ideas. Life stepped in and said, it's time to move. So after 18 years of living in Seattle, I moved down to Olympia, Washington. But what I find really unique about that even is the person that I interviewed is actually from Olympia, born and raised in Olympia. So unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that she was actually from that hometown, so it actually makes it a little bit more special. Essentially, it's like she, gave me her good energy, her guidance to take with me to her hometown to kind of better myself as a creator as my script develops even more. So I really appreciate that, and look at it as a good sign moving forward with this project. Something that, I won't forget, those are the things that you really appreciate someone doing for you to really help open your mind to something else. So, and speaking of the next level and speaking of Olympia, I do hope you join me on the next stages of the New Born Awakening series, where I go into the letters B-O-R-N, and it's my slow, small steps into the Olympia film scene, and we'll see where it takes me. So, cool, hope you join me. Thank you.